event. So save the date. It's going to happen on April 25th, next week. Here is the QR code for registration. So do not hesitate. And it's going to be a hybrid event. So we're going to host some reception or like pizza, snacks in Ukraine, in Lviv. And also it's going to be available in Zoom for sure. So welcome, Danielle.
Thank you.
So Danielle is our speaker today. She's the senior Salesforce advocate, senior developer advocate, I'm sorry, in Salesforce. And she's gonna share some insights, some tips, tricks about the data cloud and AI data pools. I actually attend one of her speech in World Tour, I think, in TDX. So I sure that it's gonna be a lot of interesting things for our community members. So Danielle, hands over to you.
Thank you, Anna. Thank you. And I will share my screen. Uh-oh, it says the participant screen sharing is disabled. I think I might.
Oh, sorry. I just make you a host, so you should be able to do it.
Okay, let me try again. Okay, yep, I got it now. Thank you. Okay, let's first start off with slide. Yeah, over here. There we go. Okay, can everyone see my screen okay? Everyone able to see the screen?
Yes.
Okay, awesome. Let me kind of rearrange everything over here now. Okay. So welcome to an introduction to Data Cloud for admins and developers. I've lined up some cool stuff for today's talk, and this is really, really exciting for me. I first met Anna. I don't know if you remember Anna, but I first met you in Spain at Dreamaway at the speaker dinner the night before. And then I watched Anna give a great talk at the opening keynote that really, really moved me. And that was a tremendously fabulous talk there. And then I had the pleasure of running into you again, yes, at the World Tour in New York City last year. And then I was so excited to be invited to speak at this group. So thank you so much for having me, first of all, because again, super excited to engage with the Ukrainian Salesforce developer community and admin community and just the community in general. You can follow me over here on X or Twitter. That's where I post all the updates on my latest blogs that I'm working on, or any cities I'm going to speak in, or conferences, et cetera, et cetera. And you also feel free to follow or connect with me on LinkedIn. Just use the my Salesforce email address, which is on probably this invitation, to send me an invite, and we can connect on LinkedIn as well. All right, so just a little bit about me. I really, really love engaging with the Trailblazer community. I live in Dallas, Texas, in the United States. I love speaking. I've spoken at Dreamforce a couple times, TDX a few times, many world tours, many community conferences and user groups. Really, my passion is the community and helping the community, evangelizing to the community, just really doing anything with community. I love doing. I love all the people in the Salesforce developers community. So this is really a dream job for me, to be able to just go around and engage with the community. And I am a senior developer advocate on the developer relations team. So Alva Rivas, who will be giving the Data Plus AI community tour next week, she happens to be on my team. You might be familiar with some of my other teammates, Philippe Oziel, Stefan Chandler Garcia, as well as Mohit Srivastava, and formerly Julian Duque, who has now moved over to Heroku, as well as our admin evangelist, Jennifer Lee, Jillian Bruce, Ella Marks. All of them also are people that are on my team as well. Okay, so forward-looking statements, because I am a Salesforce employee, I know, you see this 1,000 times. Salesforce is, just a reminder, Salesforce is a publicly traded company, so please make all your purchasing decisions based off of what is available in the system today and not based off of what I say might be coming or any future features or product enhancements to the system. Okay, so how does Data Cloud work? Okay, Data Cloud was previously announced at a Dreamforce 2022 as Genie, and then it got a little bit of a rebrand and a remake into what is now known as Data Cloud. And Data Cloud is a customer data platform, which is designed to ingest and connect data about a customer from multiple source systems. So you might be storing information, you know, in Salesforce CRM about your customer in terms of like account related data, contact, lead, opportunity data. You might have some cases in ServiceNow, or you might have some HR information in Workday. So what Data Cloud is really designed to do is to pull in all that information across all of these different source systems into one unified platform to give you a single point of view of your customer. So it's always should be data about a customer that you are storing in Data Cloud. So it shouldn't just be like a generic situation. Some people ask, should I be using this as an MDM? We should absolutely not be using this as an MDM. Other people ask, should I be, you know, using this as a substitute for MuleSoft? No, you should not be using this as a substitute for MuleSoft. MuleSoft is meant to build and manage APIs, whereas Data Cloud is a customer data platform. Okay. So we have a couple of out-of-the-box connectors, and I'll walk through some of these in the live demo. But our out-of-the-box connectors, we have the ability to connect Salesforce CRM system to pull in sales and service data. We have the ability to connect with Marketing Cloud, as well as Commerce Cloud, S3, Google Cloud Storage, Microsoft Azure, so pull in CSVs, store on those systems. And then we have our new data sharing and data federation, which we'll get into a little bit more later with Snowflake and BigQuery, which is unidirectional. We also have a variety of SDKs. We have our web SDK, which allows you to pull in information on your custom developed websites. And then we also have our iOS and Android integration, which allows you to pull in data from any custom developed apps on iOS or Android. And then we also have our ingestion API, and our ingestion API also allows you to create a connection between a source system for when we do not have a connector that is already out of the box. So all of this data basically gets harmonized into our data lake, and we'll dive into a little bit later about how that data lake is organized. And then from there, you're able to do things like identity resolution, which allows you to create a unified view of your customer. You can build some data graphs, and then you're able to activate your data. So you're able to use this data in AI. You're able to use this data in insights, segmentations, Tableau reporting, put people into Marketing Cloud journeys to be able to send text messages, email messages, and all types of things. So really the idea, the thing that Data Cloud is trying to solve is I have all of this customer data, right, stored in all of these disconnected, disparate systems, right? And what I want to do is pull all of this data that's stored in all these different systems into one system. And so after you pull all that data into one system, then I want to do something with the data. I want to activate the data. So I want to be able to report on the data. I want to be able to create ad audiences like Google ad audiences, Meta ad audiences, Amazon ad audience. So then I can do something with the data. So that's really what Data Cloud is doing. It's just pulling all that data from the source systems, pulling it into a unified view so that then you can start doing reporting, analytics, and advertising and marketing with that data. Okay, as well as AI. So let's get into how this works a little bit more. So the first thing that you'll have to do is create a connection between Data Cloud and some external system. And the way that you'll do that is in Data Cloud Setup. Now let's just use Salesforce as an example, right? So we first have our Salesforce CRM system that's over here, right? And we've created a connection using our Salesforce CRM connector between Data Cloud and Salesforce. Now, after we create the connection, what we have to do is actually set up something that's called a data stream. And the data stream is how you actually get the data into Data Cloud so that Data Cloud data can be ingested, okay? So here you'll see that we have our external system, which is our Salesforce CRM system. And then we have our first data stream up here, which has, records in it and some type of table format. So let's say that this is a account object, right? And then account has, record A, record B. And then we create a data stream so that it flows into Data Cloud. And then record A and record B then goes into what is a data lake object, okay? So same here. Let's say that if this is account, let's say that this is contact or lead. And so we've set up a new data stream from here to here. And then all of this data would flow from the account object, the lead object, into what is now called a data lake object in Data Cloud. Now, what is a data lake object? A data lake object is really the initial container that's going to hold all the data that's being ingested from your external system. So let's say this is S3, this is Google Cloud Storage, this is Snowflake, this is BigQuery. All of these get their data into Data Cloud via what's called a data stream. Okay. Now, from there, the data lake object is just the initial container. So that still needs to be mapped to what's called a data model object. And the data model object is really the canonical or data model or the metadata structure of Data Cloud, right? So if you think about Salesforce CRM, you have standard Salesforce objects. You also have custom Salesforce objects that you created to fit your business use cases. Well, that's what you're going to be doing here with data model objects. So we have a select amount of standard data model objects, but then we also have a variety of custom data model objects that you can create to be able to fit your own business use case here. And this allows for the harmonization of the records that are coming in via multiple data streams to be able to sit in one unified model. Okay. And then what Data Cloud is powered off of is these data model objects. So it's these data model objects that are running your segmentation. It's these data model objects that are running your identity resolution jobs. It's also these data model objects that are running your Tableau reports, your Salesforce reports and dashboards, as well as your AI that is built in the Data Cloud platform. Okay. So let's talk about a little bit how Data Cloud works with MuleSoft. So remember, we do have a variety of out-of-the-box connectors, but we don't have connectors for everything. So for things that we don't have connectors for to be able to configure a connection between Data Cloud and that source system, you can always use MuleSoft as a middleware. So anything that Anypoint has a connector to, you can connect via Anypoint to Data Cloud. We also have the ability to use the ingestion API with MuleSoft. So MuleSoft uses the ingestion API, which allows data to come in via batch at a frequency. The frequency really kind of varies, but it also allows you to pull in data at near real time via the streaming API as well. And then traditionally, we always had this kind of like ETL process for being able to connect a system into Data Cloud. But now we have this new way of doing things to be able to connect a source system. So you should get a lot of questions from people who are like, I'm already using Snowflake as my data lake. I don't want to move all my Snowflake stuff over to Data Cloud just so that I can use Data Cloud functionality. Well, now I'm happy to say you no longer have to do that. You now have zero ETL data sharing between Data Cloud and Snowflake. It's now bi-directional, is GA. As of now, one time I got a question like, what is GA? GA means generally available. So sometimes you'll see that things are in pilot or you'll see that things are in beta. This is generally available. This means that anybody that has Data Cloud can access this functionality. So you now have the ability to push data from Data Cloud's data lake objects, data model objects, and calculated insights into Snowflake. You also have the ability to share any data that's stored in your Snowflake data warehouses and tables into Data Cloud as well. And that is done via very simple configuration setup to get the two working. And we have a similar thing with BigQuery as well. So now with BigQuery and Data Cloud, you have the ability to share your data lake objects and your data model objects data and calculated insights data into Google BigQuery, and any schemas, views, or tables that are set up in BigQuery. You also have the ability to bring in that data in Data Cloud, so that now you have the ability to use all the information in multiple places that's either stored in Data Cloud or in BigQuery. And so someone asked me once, they're like, well, what's the power of this, of being able to connect Data Cloud to BigQuery or to Snowflake? Well, the power really is that if you have, information stored in Salesforce or or Workday or ServiceNow. Now all that data is available everywhere. Like, so you can pull that data into Snowflake. You can also pull your Snowflake data into BigQuery. You can pull your BigQuery data into Snowflake, with Data Cloud kind of acting as the intermediary with that for any data that's about a customer. So that's where people's wheels start to spin, and they start wanting to like use Data Cloud as a middleware. And I'm like, no, still don't do that. Still don't use it as a middleware. But it can kind of act as like, you know, like an in-between, a middleware, or a go-between between multiple source systems. Okay. So identity resolution. Well, you can imagine that all of this data being stored in all of these different source systems, right? This data probably looks a little bit of a hot mess. If you've seen like data warehouses, the data can be a hot mess when you're working with it. Like you got duplicates, you got nulls, you got misspelled things that are old. Like, you know, Anna, it's a hot mess. So the way that we have to deal with the data that's a little bit of a hot mess is this thing called identity resolution, which allows you to set up matching rules and jobs to be able to match source system data records together. So how does this actually work? Well, let's say we have Alicia here, right? And we know Alicia's first name, her last name, and her email address. And maybe across these systems, you know, some agents, you know, they spelled Alicia's, you know, first name, you know, correctly, her last name correctly, and her email address correctly, but maybe they have the wrong actual phone number or the wrong physical address. Or maybe even her first name, you know, they did a, you know, a capital A, and some people did a lowercase a, or, you know, her last name, some people, you know, spelled that exactly right. So we have the ability to create what's called a matching rule to say, if the data fits this criteria, then they are most likely the same person. So if the first name, last name, and email address is the same, this is most likely the same person. Treat them as one unified record in Data Cloud, and unify and link all of their individual records to that unified record. You have the ability to do that with first name, last name, and phone number, or anything that you're storing about an individual, or on either the individual data model object or either the contact point address. There's all these different objects that work with identity resolution. But any of this data, you have the ability to write matching rules on to be able to unify them into a single profile, so that then you're not working with duplicate data, because duplicate data is going to be bad for you. Why? Because it's going to inflate your numbers when you're doing reporting. You don't want Alicia counted 3, 4, or 5 times for a report, because that's not true. It's not accurate data. And you definitely don't want her counted 5 times for if you're trying to do a prediction with an AI model or a machine learning model. So this is a way to kind of clean up your data a little bit before you're starting to use the power of the Data Cloud platform, like AI and segmentation and ad audiences and reporting. This is identity resolution allows you to set up those matching and reconciliation rules to be able to unify people, unify duplicates, unify bad data into a single profile that you can then work off of one clean unified profile based off of the matching criteria and rules that you set. And this runs in a batch job, and the batch job, so you'll see here for this particular example, batch job, they had like 489 million. So a lot of people always ask me, like, can Data Cloud scale? I'm like, yeah, it can. It can scale to billions and trillions of records. It's not like, it doesn't have all of the constraints that Salesforce has. Because a lot of people also ask me, like, is this Salesforce? I'm like, well, it kind of is, but it also kind of is not. This is really built to scale. So this is built on top of the AWS platform. If you want a video that will put you to sleep, there's one that's out there that describes exactly how it's built on like Trino, Apache Spark, et cetera, et cetera. But this is really, really built to scale. As you can see here, they're run the identity resolution job over multiple millions of profiles, and it runs just fine. Okay. And so another question we used to get a lot is about, will this data in Data Cloud write back to Salesforce? And the previous answer used to actually be no. The data will not write back to Salesforce until Data Cloud enrichments came out. So with Data Cloud enrichments, what is available now is the ability to copy your Data Cloud data back to your lead records and your contact records. So you can copy them, the data, into a field, so you can match the data into fields, and then have those fields displayed on a leader contact. And then you also have the ability to add a data model object as a related list onto a lead or contact record. So now you can see Data Cloud data on a lead or contact record. And from what I'm told from the product team, they're really working on being able to enable this across all Salesforce objects and rolling this off out to all standard Salesforce objects, but also rolling this out to custom Salesforce objects. So you'll see how much more powerful this will be when you can be on a custom object and you can not only map the data to a field, but also map the data as a related list onto a record on a standard or custom object as well. Okay, so that's really how Data Cloud enrichments works. Again, copies data from your Data Cloud records to your contact and lead records, and also allows you to display a data model object as a related list on your contact and lead X objects. Okay, now let's get into some AI. So recently we just released our new model builder, new version, V2, if you will, of model builder, which allows you to create low code machine learning models on your Data Cloud data model object data. There's also the ability to bring in AI models that are built on AI platforms such as SageMaker, Vertex AI, Databricks as well. So you can use your data that is stored in either a data lake object or a data model object to be the training data set for your AI models. So if you think about predictive analytics and machine learning, you first have to select a sample size to be able to train an AI model with. And so there's a few out of the box AI models that a lot of data scientists use, like XGBoost, Random Forest, et cetera, et cetera. So you now have the ability to use your data that's stored in a table in Data Cloud as a training set for one of those AI models. And these AI models, we already have 3 of them built into the Data Cloud platform that you can use in our low code, no code model builder. And it will train those AI models off of the data. And then you can then use it to create inferences or predictions with newly fed data through that AI model. So that is something that is also GA now that you can use. And then we also have the ability to bring your own large language models. So we currently have a partnership with OpenAI and Azure OpenAI, which allows you to use their APIs to be able to bring in a large language model for things like prompts and prompt builders, and to be able to configure the prompts to use those large language models. We are currently in talks, I believe, to work with Google Vertex AI to get Gemini plugged into the platform, and Amazon SageMaker with Bedrock and some other things as well. But this bring your own large language model is something that's really, really exciting. It's something that's on my list to play with. I've just been so busy, haven't even been able to play with this yet. But it's just something that's on my list to be able to play with and create some content on. But I just wanted you all to know that this is out there and existing. Okay, now let's take a look at Data Cloud. All right, so here we are, and just want to make sure, are you guys seeing Data Cloud now? Are you seeing my screen with Data Cloud? Yeah.
Yeah. Yep.
Awesome. And okay, just making sure there was nothing. Okay, so here we are in Salesforce. And so you probably might be thinking like, wow, this looks a lot like Salesforce. And it's because it is. So Data Cloud is actually hosted in a hub Salesforce org. So you'll have to have Data Cloud turned on. And then once Data Cloud is turned on, it's then accessible via an app in the app launcher, like any other app. So you'll see here, I have my Data Cloud app, I have my service app and my service console and my sales apps. So Data Cloud is also in here, just like any other app. But what you'll see is also, we'll have this new thing over here under setup called Data Cloud Setup. So let's just go over to Data Cloud Setup and take a peek at what's going on back there. So here is where you'll manage all the connections between Data Cloud and your source system. So if you remember, I said that you first have to create a connection between Data Cloud and some source system. That's the very, very first step. It's creating a connection between Data Cloud and your source system. So here we have the ability to create a connection between Marketing Cloud, account engagement, our Salesforce CRM orgs, and all this is, most of this is configuration based. We have the ability to create connectors to some web and mobile apps. We also have the ability to, create our connector for our ingestion API to be able to get in data via the API. And then we have some other ones back here, Google Cloud Storage, Snowflake. There's some SFTP. I have a couple of big queries connected back here. And then we also have some other ones back here, Kinesis. Some of these are in beta, as you'll see. And every time I come back here, I get surprised. So this is a surprise to me too, that I was like, oh, wow, there's all of these back here now. But as you see, we have like Athena and Beta, we have Aurora, Postgres, and Kinesis, and SQL Server, and all of these back here, even a HubSpot. Wonder if HubSpot is still going to be back here now that Google bought them. We shall see. Oracle, all of these ones, Zendesk. So there's a lot of them back here now that are in beta. So you'll see the ones that are not in beta, you'll see it, they don't have a beta, but the ones that are, and look, there's even a ServiceNow one back here as well. So it's really growing. The power of Data Cloud, you can see how this is really, really growing. Because previously, to do anything like this, you always had to go through some complicated integration process, right? Where you had to go get a middleware team, you had to write some code, you had to like create the JSON and the formatting, and things came through and they were kind of ugly. So then you had to do the transformation of that data when it came in, because you're like, oh, this data is not really coming in the way that it looks in my system. But now what you have the ability to do is really just to do like configuration to get the data in. So like for BigQuery, for example, all I had to do was put in my connection name, put in my service account email, and then put in the private key and my project ID, and then immediately I was connected into BigQuery. So it's really a much quicker way to create the connection between the source system and Data Cloud to be able to get data into Data Cloud. Okay, so it's really, really becoming powerful. So once you go back there and you set up all your connections and get all your source system connected into Data Cloud, then what you have the ability to do is you have the ability to go back here and find Data Cloud. And after you find Data, then what you first want to do is, remember, the very first step is creating a data stream to get data into Data Cloud. So let's go over here to our data streams tab, and then let's click new, so we could just kind of see how this flow is working. So here, we're going to just use our Salesforce CRM connector. And then I'm going to choose one of my orgs. And you'll see here, we have the ability to either choose our data bundles. It's going to pop in. So our sales data bundle has the account, contact, and lead object, or we have the service data bundle. And we're going to walk through this. We're going to go through a trailhead trail together. So we're going to walk through and do this together. But for our objects, we also have the ability to choose any one of our objects that are in our Salesforce org. Now for this, I am going to choose an object, and I'm going to search for the lead object. Just choose lead. And then on the next screen, it's going to ask like, what type of data is this? So is this profile data? So profile data will tell you whether it represents an individual, an account, or some other type of profile. Now, this is important to select if you want to use identity resolution. So if you want to use that matching that we just talked about to be able to, because your data is a hot mess, so you need to clean it up before moving a hot mess here to a hot mess there, then you're going to want to choose profile if you want to use this data in the identity resolution jobs. Now, if you want to use this data for like engagement, for like events and streaming and Salesforce platform events and stuff like that, and change data capture, you're going to really want to choose engagement if it's an engagement type of data, so that it can be used in those types of things. And then if it's neither profile or engagement, or it's just some other type of data that you don't really need to use in events, or you don't really need to use in identity resolution, you can just use other. You just want to store this data and you just want this data to be useful in Data Cloud, then you can just use other. So I'm going to choose profile here, and then I'm going to click next. And then we have this thing called data spaces, which allows you to partition your data so that Data Cloud can now have multiple organizations or business units working within the same Data Cloud. So we used to get a lot of questions about that, like, how can I partition my Data Cloud from other people that are possibly using Data Cloud? Because Data Cloud's expensive, so I don't want to keep buying, Data Clouds for multiple groups to work within. So this is the way to do that. And then we just click deploy. And so as easy as that. So what we just did here is we chose our Salesforce CRM connector, right? After we chose our connector, we chose a data stream, okay? Our data stream to get in the data. So we chose lead as our Salesforce object that we want to ingest our data into Data Cloud. And then we said that this data, this lead data, is a profile type of data. And then from there, what we just did is created the stream. So now what's happening now is my connected Salesforce org is now going to ingest data from Salesforce, my CRM connected org. It's going to ingest the lead object. So that's what it's doing now. And so it's pulling this all into, and it automatically creates the data lake object at the end. So after you create the stream, it automatically creates the data lake object. And then it creates all the fields. And what will happen is it will immediately start to process this data and populate this data into our lead object. So let me go to one of my leads that I already have some stuff in. So it looks like that actually looks like the one I just created. So not that one. 4.6. Let's try the one from 4.6. Okay. So what we have here is we already have a lead object where we're ingesting data in. And let's go here and look at some mapping, okay? So here we have all of our lead fields. These are all the fields that are on our lead object. Now this could be any object in any system. So this could be a lead in Salesforce, a lead in Siebel. This could be a lead in HubSpot or any system. This could be a subscriber in Marketing Cloud. This could be any source system. This could be, even a contact in ServiceNow. It's just for simplicity purposes, I'm using a Salesforce lead. So what we then have the ability to do is this on our left is our data lake object. We have the ability to then select an object on our right. And we have our data model objects here. And we do have a lead data model object out of the box, okay? But we also have the ability, let's say we didn't have a standard data model to be able to fit the lead. You also have the ability to click custom data model and map this. So if this was some custom object that was in Siebel or Workday or Salesforce even, we do have the ability to just create a custom object off of this, this data lake object to be able to map to. But since this is a standard, we're just going to choose the lead here. And we're going to click done. And it's going, there is actually a language model that's happening on the back end. So there is some AI here that is doing the matching. It's doing like a character string match to a string match here. So there's some AI working in the background to be able to try to auto map this. I always, suggest to people to make sure that it mapped it correctly because it is AI and AI can be wrong sometimes. And then what we're going to do is just save this mapping. And what that's going to do is that's going to allow the data to flow from the data lake object in Data Cloud into now one of our mapped data model objects in Data Cloud. And we also do have the ability, like let's say you created a custom field here on your lead object, your account object, or some other object, you do have the ability also to create a custom field here. So you could do like my custom field. And then there's all of these different data types to map to. And we are still adding more and more data types to be able to map to. I'm just going to say save. Oh, that's because I misspelled this over here too. Save. And then I would have my custom field here. So there is the ability also to create custom fields to map to on the data model object. Now we can always view our data model objects here under this data model tab. So here's a list of all of our data model objects. And let's just look at the lead data model object. And this data model object will show me all the data streams that are populating this data model object, as well as all the data lake objects that are populating this data model object as well. It's a little bit of latency here. There we go. So it'll also show me all of the data streams as well as all the map data model objects. So you will be able to see, the source of where that data is coming from. And then you also have the ability to go here to the Data Explorer tab and select a data space and then select the object. And I'm going to choose lead. And you also have the ability to view the record level data here as well. So I can edit the columns. I'm going to put in lead ID. Okay, let me take out something. Industry. I'm putting lead ID. So this is a great way also to validate the data that's coming in as well, is using the Data Explorer. You can copy the SOQL. And then they've gotten a little bit more advanced. So recently we have our new query editor, which allows you to also write queries to search the data lake objects and data model objects. So now you can write queries to take a look at the data within Data Cloud as well. You can see the primary keys, the relationships. You can also see the relationships in a graph view as well. And then you can do some exploration as well. And you can also modify or create the query. There's a lot of more powerful tools that are coming in to be able to allow you to create queries and execute the queries. Now, this is only dipping a toe into Data Cloud. So I definitely encourage you to, one, and it's loading, to watch our YouTube series. So I have a YouTube series out here with 10 videos with me and Aditya on my team, where we walk through a lot of these concepts into depth through different YouTube videos. We're also in the process of still adding some YouTube videos. I've seen a couple of comments on some of these. Some of these I do want to fix and re-record. And because there's been so much new functionality pushing out to Data Cloud, some of them are also now a little bit out of date, which is good. So I also need to go back and re-update some of these as well. But for foundational purposes, this is a great resource to look at. All right, now let's do some exercise hands-on before we go. So I want everyone to go here to https://sforce.co/create data stream. And this is only if you want to follow along. You're also completely free to just watch if you want to. But if you would like to follow along, then please go to this site. Okay. Now, what that should take you to is this create a data stream in Data Cloud. So right now is the ability, now this has very limited functionality, but you have the ability to sign up here for a free 5-day org. I was reached out to by the Trailhead team today, and they said they're going to be adding more functionality to this. So keep an eye out for more hands-on things like this, and then just put in your email, and I'm going to stop the share for 1 bit just in case somebody watches this back from the recording. So let me go ahead and stop the share for 1 second. But fill out that form and then click the agreement button and then click sign me up. And then what you should get is an email. I'm going to see if I have my email over here. and it should be asking you to reset your password. So you should receive an email to whatever email you put in there. It should be pretty quick. And then you should be able to change your password. And after you change your password, it should immediately just go ahead and log you in. Okay. So let's take a look at what the trail is asking us to do. So if you've done that, we can go up to the next one. I've never actually tried the verification there because this org is completely separate from those orgs. But what we're going to do now is we are going to connect a data source and navigate to our data streams and ingest data. Now, one of the things you'll notice is that Data Cloud setup is actually currently disabled in these 5-day orgs. So you won't be able to go to the Data Cloud setup, like similar to what I showed you in the demo. But what you can do is go over here to this app launcher. And then when you're in this app launcher, type in Data Cloud. Okay. Now, once you're here in Data Cloud, we're going to click this Data Streams tab. And we are going to let everything load. And I'm going to just click out this pop-up. And then what we are going to do is we are going to click after on the Data Streams tab, we're going to click this new button. And we are going to select our Salesforce CRM title to be able to ingest data from a connected Salesforce CRM org. And then we are going to click next. And wait for the screen to load. And then you see you only have one Salesforce org here. But if you were just curious, you could click the All Objects button and you can see all of the objects that are here that are available to be ingested into this org. We're going to stick with data bundles for this demo, and we are going to select the sales data bundle, which is going to bring in the account, contact, and lead objects from Salesforce, and then we're going to click next. Now for here, I don't believe we're going to change anything. No, we're going to keep everything as is, but if you wanted to, you could create some new formula fields if you wanted to. You could change some labels here if you wanted to. You could also change the API names. You could even edit the data types. I think right now the data type is disabled for editing in this particular org, but there's all types of things that we could do here for each one of these fields. But we're just going to leave everything the same, and we're just going to click next. And then from there, we're just going to click deploy. And this is going to create 3 data streams. So one for account, one for contact, one for lead. And it's going to refresh on its own batch schedule right now. For Salesforce CRM connector, you can't set the refresh schedule, but let's just go ahead and click deploy. And then Anna is going to sing us a song while we wait.
For how long it's usually take, like, to load this?
You know, it usually is a lot quicker than this. It could be that because this is a dev org, that it's going a little bit slower. Like in my previous org, it didn't take this long. So I think it's just and it could also be the fact that we're doing 3 as opposed to 1, and then also the amount of records. The amount of records might be having an effect here. And there we go. But I'll give some people some extra time just in case yours is taking a little bit longer. But typically not that long. All right. Now, the next thing that we have to do is go to the lead data stream that we created. So let's go here. We're going to click this lead data stream. And you can see here, it created our data lake object. But with a data bundle or a data kit, sometimes the mappings are already there. So if you choose a data bundle, it'll already pre-map some of the fields for you. It won't come in as like that 0, 0 map or that 0 mapping. So here we already have some fields that are already mapped. So what it wants us to do on the trail is click this new formula field button at the top. And then it wants us to put in a field label of is US based. So let's go ahead and put in is US based. And I'll just drop that into the chat as well. And then it wants us to put in this formula, which is a transformation formula. So you can also do some transformations. We do get a lot of questions on that, like this, can I do any transformations on our data, on the data that's coming into Data Cloud? You can do some transformations on the data that's coming in via Data Cloud, via data stream. So this is one of the ways that you can do it. So we'll put this transformation formula in here, which says if the country equals USA, then true, otherwise false. It's just very simple. And I believe it wants us to select the return type of text for true or false. And so you could also test it. So true, USA. I'm going to put in Ukraine here. Test, false. So the formula transformation is working. You can test it. And then we're just going to click save. And we can also review our mapping. So click review here. And this might take a little bit of time too, because once again, it's a dev org, so it's a little bit slower. But yeah, here we could also review some mappings. We could add some mappings. We could also change some mappings. So we can see here, it's mapped to the lead here. It's also mapped to the individual, the contact point phone, contact point email, those contact point address data model objects. And if you wanted to, you could add some additional data model objects as well. And you can play with some mappings here as well. So let's just go ahead and click review. And then let's see what is not mapped. Let's say annual revenue is not mapped. Let's see. Annual revenue is not mapped. So let's go ahead and choose annual revenue here. So just click the node. And hopefully it'll let me add. Oh, is this disabled? This might be disabled in this org. Because typically, oh wait, there we go. It's not disabled. So there we go. Annual revenue. So that's how you map a field. So go ahead and try mapping if it's not mapped for you, that annual revenue field on your lead. And you can also do a quick search as well. So you could do lead here, and that will take away some things. But since we want annual revenue, let's do annual as our search. And then there's annual revenue, and that gets rid of some of that extra stuff as well. And then just click the node to the node to do the mapping. Let's look at some other things that we can map here. What else is not mapped? Clean status is not mapped. Let's do, and we have industry as well. Do we have an industry field over here that we can map? Let's see. We do have an industry on lead, so we can also do our industry field, and we can also filter like this. So let's click our industry and then click over here. And then let's go ahead and save our mappings so it doesn't start yelling at us that we have unsaved mappings. And I want to create, let's see if there's something that doesn't have a field. Like, let's say I wanted to do facts. Let's say I want to put the facts on the individual object. Let's click add a new field here. And then let's create a new field. So let's create on the individual, add a new field, and we're going to do facts. And let's do it as the facts as a phone number. And then click save. And I'm not sure actually what the facts field type. If there's a mismatch, it's going to yell at me and tell me that there's a mismatch and say you can't map these two fields to each other. So let's see if it lets me do it. Let's try. And then let's try to save here. Okay, let me do it. It didn't yell at me. So you just create a custom field for the facts and for the phone number. Okay. And then let's just try our hand at creating a custom object just for fun. Let's just do it. Let's click this pencil icon in the right. And let's do custom data model. And I'm not going to do all these. Let's just say that this is going to be our social data model. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to choose the lead ID, of course, the primary key, but I'm going to also choose, did I not see a social? I thought I saw something for social. Let's do photo URL. That's pretty social, photo. And then we'll just click save. And now what we should have is our new custom data model object that we just created to be able to map some of our lead data lake object fields to. So now we're just going to go ahead and click save and close. So this environment, this 5-day environment has a lot of things turned off. One day I did go in here and click around and play around just to see what's in here. So there's still the ability to kind of click around in here, create some things. So you'll notice that you can, create some data-like objects from scratch if you want to in this 5-day org. You can look at some data models and look at their mappings. I think the Data Explorer is buggy right now and is not working because I did try this and I was not able to get it to work successfully. Yeah, we couldn't query the data. So there are a few things. I've seen some tickets raised in here as well. But I strongly recommend going in here, clicking around, seeing what's working, seeing what you can, kind of work with. and see what functionality exists in here. But you'll have this org is available for 5 days, but you can spin up unlimited amount of them. And like I said, I talked to the Trailhead team this morning. They're adding more functionality to these orgs. So for some more trails, so that you'll be able to do some more hands-on stuff. All right, I'll take a look at some questions now in the chat. So, and Ole, thanks for saying our team is awesome. I think our team's awesome too. So the questions: is this data stored in Salesforce now, or is it just visualization of data from other lakes? So the data is actively, so the data cloud data is not shared to Salesforce natively. So the data and the metadata is always kept structured. It's always kept separate between data cloud and Salesforce. Now, if you want to share the data between the hub Salesforce org that is hosting data cloud and data cloud, then what you would have to do is, and I'm going back to my real Salesforce org, is in data cloud setup. When you go to this Salesforce CRM page and you click new, this first option says connect to my home org, which is the org that's hosting data cloud. So until you come here and configure it to be able to access the data, it's not connected between each other. And then you also have the ability to connect to another org, connect to a sandbox org, but that's a great question. So it's not natively shared until you come here and set it up to be shared.
And in fact, it's not, yeah, thank you for the answer, just to clarify. And like, if we, just to make sure, it's not consuming your storage inside of Salesforce, right?
No, it's not consuming your storage. Any API calls that Data Cloud is making also is not consumed as part of your Salesforce limits as well.
And also just one more, but you can capture any data changes, like you can do triggers based on that, right? Am I correct?
Yes. So you can write Salesforce triggers, but you need to use the Connect API, or you need to use one of the Data Cloud APIs. So the Query API, one of those, in order to access the Data Cloud data in like a trigger or something. Yes.
Okay. Yeah, because this is a big thing, like that you can track that something changed in other place and do an action inside of your Salesforce org.
Yes. Also, there's the ability to use, there's now Data Cloud triggered flow, which allows you to use DMOs and DLOs in flow. But also we have change data capture, which is now available, which also allows you to connect to Salesforce via platform events and capture changes that way as well, using the event bus.
Awesome. Yeah, it's great. Thank you for a great demo. Love it.
Thank you. Great question. How can I get a demo org? So right now, this is the only demo org that is available, the one that's on Trailhead, this 5-day org, but they're getting ready to spruce this up to add more functionality to this demo org. So you'll always get the demo orgs from Trailhead. I believe I also heard that they're going to make it available for more than 5 days. I complained. I said, 5 days is really not enough time, and 5 days would aggravate me if I started something and then I couldn't finish it because I just got busy with life, and I needed to come back to it. I didn't want to start all over. So they're also working on extending the time to, from what I heard, a month. They're going to be 30 days at least coming down the pipeline. So those are things that are coming. Can mobile connect is connected automatically when we connect to Marketing Cloud? So that's a great question. So right now, yes, there is in Marketing Cloud these different bundles. And I can't remember off the top of my head what are all the bundles. So let's go take a look. There's my BU. So there is a Mobile Connect bundle here. So there's an Email Studio bundle, a Mobile Connect bundle. Oh my gosh, I don't know why I'm stumbling over that word. A Mobile Connect bundle and a Mobile Push. So you can connect when you connect it to Marketing Cloud. It's not automatic, but you go here and you set up that data stream.
Thank you, but I have one other question for the mobile Marketing Cloud. Is it okay to ask?
Yeah, sure, go ahead.
Yeah, so we have like many Salesforce driven entry journeys, which is triggered to Marketing Cloud. So if I have it, we are planning to have Data Cloud in future. I mean, not in a couple of months though. So if we sync all the data to Data Cloud, can we trigger directly from Data Cloud to Marketing Cloud, all those based on our business functionality?
Absolutely, absolutely. So Marketing Cloud is an activation target. So if I go here, and that's just something we weren't able to cover because we just didn't have enough time. There's so much functionality in too little time. But you'll see here, I have my Marketing Cloud org connected as an activation target. And what this then does is it makes it available in Journey Builder it makes it available first under shared data extensions. So everything that's populated from this segment will then be sent into shared data extensions, but then it also is available as an entry source in Marketing Cloud and Journey Builder as well. So that's all being powered off of this thing called segments here. So once I build these segments, then once I choose my activation target, then which is Marketing Cloud, then I come here and I create an activation. And so you'll see here under this activation target, under this activation, my target is Marketing Cloud here. And so it's taking that segment and it'll create this segment as a shared data extension, but also as a data extension that's available to be dropped into Journeys and Marketing Cloud. So these segments get updated, they get refreshed. And so even as the segments are getting refreshed, it's going to update the shared data extension in Marketing Cloud that under shared data extensions.
That's awesome. Thank you so much. And I think if you have separate one trailhead like this for Marketing Cloud, it will be really helpful. I like your demo today. It's very helpful to us.
Thank you. Thank you. And yeah, you can always see like the refresh history here too. So you'll know like when your Marketing Cloud data extension last got refreshed and what the latest data is.
Awesome. Thank you.
You're welcome. Great questions. I think that is all the questions that I see. If I miss your question, yell at me and tell me.
I have one last question. So when we connect to Mobile Connect, I understand for the email tracking data, currently it's synced back to contact under customer in CRM. Can we get that ability for Mobile Connect, whether we delivered or bounces or anything for mobile users?
I can ask. I can ask if they can work on that functionality. Yeah, I can ask product teams. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah.
All right. From Marketing Cloud, can data be fetched in real time? You know, there is a latency right now. So Marketing Cloud data mostly comes in via batch, I believe. I don't think that any of these data streams are streaming, but even the real time would still have a little bit of latency. So it'd still be near real time. But if you wanted to, you could always use the streaming API to set up your own connector as well to feed the data in an event-based data in near real time. So the streaming API is always there. All right. Great question. And I think that's all. I think I'll throw it back to you, Anna.
Thank you. Thank you, Danielle, for the amazing demo and the presentation. I hope that everyone find it really interesting and we actually have a lot of questions. Could